Right guys, I did mention this before, which is quite simply, if you're not happy about something, change it. But this is more of an additional one, in the sense that it's not just about changing things, but also understanding there is nothing wrong with learning something new. There is nothing wrong with improving on something you're not good at or you want to learn more of. One of the things we do have these days is this. It's YouTube. YouTube is full of useful information, and yes, you will come across a lot of useless information. Today I've been doing a bit on travel vlogs, in the sense of looking at improving the ones I do. Most of the ones I do, I'll be honest with you, I don't do them as a travel vlog. I just do them as we're out and about with the family. This is why you'll get people go, oh, the auto's like this. Guess what? I got kids running around behind me. Most of the trips are not actually based on specifically going there to video for the next 2 days. It's actually family time. But at the same time, I'm looking at doing more on a vlogging way, improving the video quality, the editing, how I film them, etc. Because I've got the equipment. It's just I haven't been allocating the right time to actually learn to use them better. That's something I recognize myself, so I'm doing it. I'm getting in a position where I have the time to actually develop my skills. The weather's improving, which is good for lighting and other things like that. And this is a very basic one. As you can see, having window light gives me a good light down the side of my face, which means the room looks well lit. I'm not doing any messing around. Our thing is I'm stood up, which is good for voice, etc. Just very basic things for improving video. But those little bits of information took about 2 hours today, going through other bits of information. In a sense that you spend a lot of time going through YouTube videos and pick up a lot of useless information, or people go off track, which I do quite a lot myself, so I can't really complain about it. But that's one of the things about learning new things, is getting what works for you. It's a bit like a friend of mine. He didn't want to go back to college. He found it quite a difficult environment in the sense that I think he didn't feel comfortable doing it, because it would have meant that it's not only going back to school, he didn't feel he could achieve what he wanted to do, yet he was doing about 50–60% of it already. What he has been doing more recent, and this is the funny thing, is we had this conversation maybe around 2006. Yeah, about 2006. He didn't want to go back, but he wanted to progress within the business. Progressing would involve learning how to program machines, etc. Learning a bit more about them. And do you know what? He's been learning it on YouTube without sort of doing too much. He's now programming because it's been done in a way that works for him. And one of the things I'll say is even the same thing can be taught in so many different ways. I mean, it's like when I look at vlogs, I can't stand the people that use words like awesome. I find it irritating. I find it a lack of vocabulary, and obviously used in an overly expressive way. So I find that sort of stuff irritating. I find it more useful to go through the motions of something and understanding the stuff behind it, which sometimes those types of people completely skip. But anyway, point being, myself, I can't have an awesome teacher. I actually have to have somebody that is more methodical and is more down to earth and focusing on the actual product or whatever it is to get where I want it to be. So the point is, even myself, I can be selective on what I want to learn and from who. In the same way, when you do this sort of stuff, don't be put off if you actually come across stuff that you want to learn and it's in a format that doesn't work for you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's one thing that is wrong with the schooling system, is it doesn't recognize individuals. And I'm not, everybody should be an individual type hippie state of mind. It's more a case of a lot of things in this world need to have context. They have to have a perspective that people can understand. What do I mean? I have mentioned the guy that did tiling before, where he was terrible at counting. Yeah, he could look at a roof and he could tell you how many tiles just by looking at it, because he'd already got to the point where he knew how many rows and everything, would calculate the amount of tiles, and he could calculate how much it would cost. Yet, give him a mathematical equation, he would struggle with it. And the funny thing is, it's exactly the same thing. It's just given to him in a different format. In the same way, learning Excel is a good one as well, because when you do the training courses, they're structured around specific things. But the problem you have, if it's not related to anything you actually do, then it's in one ear and out the other. The same as when I did electronics and some other courses I did where there was a lot of mathematics behind it, but Ohm's law and things like that, I've never had to use again. So the point being is, there's a lot of stuff that you want for reference, and I wish more colleges and universities, etc., gave reference points. But if you're not actually going to be using them, don't spend so much time on those. Get some real world solutions, problems, daily life type things. Excel, like I said, a lot of time the courses are around the basics, and then we start getting more advanced. It's around something that somebody has thought about a specific problem and then how to do the solution for. Here's the best way to learn things like that. Start with the problems you have and look in YouTube for the solutions, because they'll already be there. So the point being is, you could go through and learn 100 different commands, learn a bit of Visual Basic, etc. But if you ain't going to use it, why bother? What you're better off doing is learning what problems you have and looking for different solutions and developing your skills around that. This is the way I learned Excel, because I started off with some very basic spreadsheets for specific tasks. And then people wanted things like a traffic light system. They want to have drop downs. They want pre-populated menus. They want things that if you put this, it outputs a price here and all this sort of stuff. You learn it because you're using it. I find it much more useful and practical than learning 50 commands that I will never use, because they don't actually connect with anything that I do. But college, university often teaches that way. Because the person who put the program together is often based on what they perceive as important and may not have any importance to you whatsoever. So the point being is, be aware of that. This is why I do stress YouTube has a lot to offer. It doesn't matter if it's photography, it doesn't matter if it's vlogging, doesn't matter if it's learning to write or learning another language or something else. The opportunities are there. And the reason I bring it up is because you're never too old to learn. And one of the things that puts some people off is they think it's too hard to learn. It's not. The good thing about YouTube, people don't even know you're learning it. You select it, you take it, it's costing you nothing. If you find it useful and you do want to spend money on a course, nothing wrong with that. But the tools are there for free. And at the same time, because you can do it in bite size, do it in little bits, it makes it easier to learn. And often you can have a specific thing where, say for example, there's a specific shot from a video point of view. You can message the guy behind the channel and say, hey, I really love that shot. How did you actually do this and what did you use? And they may even make another video explaining all that, or email you back, because most people are very positive on showing stuff. And that's one of the things I do like about YouTube, is when you engage with people that are putting time into channels and stuff, they're generally positive people. They have a passion for it, they have a love for it. And this is why it's good to get into these things. This is why it is worth investing some time in this yourself. This is why I recommend, if you want to learn something new, bear in mind you're never too old. Nothing's too hard. A lot of the time, if it's too hard, you're trying to absorb too much in one go. But at the same time, you will get there. Take your time. There is no rush. This is your life. Enjoy it. Do things that you enjoy doing. This is why I'm looking at progressing my vlogging. This is why I'm looking at improving my photography. This is why I'm looking at things that I enjoy in life, because I focus a lot on stuff to get where we are today, which often involves doing a lot of tasks that are financially driven and not interest driven. But I'm getting at the point where I'm trying to get a bit of balance here so I can do more of the stuff I actually love doing. And I do recommend that balance in your life. If it's miles out, look at what's making you happy, what's drawing your life down, but also get your life back in check. Many companies will overdo it in the sense, from a corporate point of view, I've experienced this myself. When I was getting up at 2 AM to be in Edinburgh for 8 o'clock in the morning with a 5 to 6 hour drive on a Monday and leaving the office at 6 PM on a Friday, the company didn't pay me for that travel time. In fact, they see it as being flexible. Being flexible. At the same time, when you had to go to meetings, it would then involve going into London because they live in London and it suits them, and the flexibility was only one way. So when you start saying, well, hang on a minute, I've been doing this for a few months, I'm not prepared to do this on an ongoing basis, they start going, yeah, but you've got to be flexible. And you've got to fire back and say, but you're not flexible. How about you take some of these weeks off me then, so I can have a normal life? Well, that's been a bit unreasonable because I've got commitments. Exactly. Because the bizarre thing is, it's when you get into some of the stupid things they come up with, like mentoring programs, because some of them do coaching and things, involved in sports with clubs and stuff, and you go, do you know what? I haven't been home for 9 months. What about you? You're home every week, because we couldn't mentor, because it wasn't just me, it's multiple people. But if you're in that sort of environment, it's time to change your job. Unless they're actually going to take on board and absorb that their life is impacting yours, because they're taking all the free time for themselves. Because the business commitment should be spread more equally. But they're just like, well, it doesn't affect me. So what? It's not a problem. I'll just try and keep you doing it. Don't get into it, in the sense of not doing it. This is why some of the guys I was working with started going, I don't work away from home anymore. And it wasn't a case of they were being unreasonable. It's some of the cases where they were at a fixed office before, the offices got sold, and they say you work from home, then they say you're now mobile, we need you to go to Manchester, we need you to go to Liverpool, we need you to go to Scotland or whatever. They suddenly went, no, because my job was office based and my office was 2 miles from my home. Then you get into negotiation of getting a life balance back. But the point being is, I understand it, I experience it, and this is why I'm sort of putting this video out there, is you need to force a life balance, but progress in stuff that is actually going to have some positive output for you. Look at stuff that can actually not just, I mean, some of it will generate an income, but it's generating an interest, having a hobby of interest. I know my father, when he retired, he had a lot of photography stuff, but didn't really do a lot with it, in the sense of he didn't do photography at the same level he did when he retired. He started going to the camera club up to retirement, but then when he was involved with the camera club, his skill set changed. He became more of a professional photographer towards the end. In fact, he got his diploma. He was a very, very good photographer, but it developed once he started getting involved with the camera club, something he should have done 10 years earlier. And this is why, one of the reasons I'm putting this out there. There's no time like the present. Thanks for watching.